NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool. This was the first official takeover under the NXT UK brand. The show took place in Blackpool, England from the Empress Ballroom. And it's worth noting that yesterday they announced that they built a new performance center in England. No surprise there. We all knew they'd build a performance center once they announced the emergence of the NXT UK brand, and I believe this is the first of many performance centers to be built outside the US. I think NXT will be a global territory. Before the official show started, they had Vic Joseph and Nigel McGuinness on the pre-show, just running down the card. I'm not a big fan of Vic Joseph. I don't think his American accent really fits well with this brand. I think he'd do better on the NXT US brand. But Nigel McGuinness is great. He was great on commentary, and he even has his own documentary debuting after the show aired. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm very interested. We started off the night with the inaugural Tag Team Championship. You had Moustache Mountain, who are the fan favorites, taking on the Grizzled Young Veterans. When Moustache Mountain came out, they had a tribute to the British Bulldogs with their gear, which was great. Trent Seven and Tyler Bate are both very talented, especially Tyler Bate. Trent Seven's good, but Tyler Bate's out of this world. He was not even the best wrestler on the show. That goes to Pete Dunne, but my God, Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne might be two of the best wrestlers in the entire company. I think you can make an argument that those two are amongst the top 5 best workers in the entire WWE. Both of them are outstanding. I have to say that right off the bat. On the other side, Zack Gibson and James Drake were the heels here. Fans hated them, and what happens is the fans at first really annoyed me. They start singing this song called Take Your Shoe Off or something like that. They're singing it with their British accents. It's annoying the hell out of me. Everyone has their shoe off. I'm thinking to myself, for fuck's sakes, guys, can you guys shut the fuck up? I mean, they do that sometimes when they come to WrestleMania, especially night after Raw. They do those stupid chants. It is what it is. But they're having fun, as Vince would say. You had a lot of singing to Moustache Mountain. They really like Tyler Bate. They know how good he is. So what happens earlier in the match is they get the heat on Trent Seven for a while, and there's even one spot in which Trent takes a vicious elbow to the head that cuts him open, and the ref has to put his gloves on. The fans obviously hate that. That looked nasty, that elbow. And he was bleeding, and he has blonde hair, and it's dyeing his hair. It looked nasty. Once Tyler Bate tagged in, the match exploded. I love the double airplane spot, even though it does look unrealistic. I have to admit, it just doesn't look real at all, but I loved it anyway. I thought it was really cool, and the fans were going crazy. You had 2 really good false finishes in which each team hit their own finishing move. First one was Moustache Mountain. They hit their finisher, and then there's a surprise kick out. There was actually a second one too. There's also another one in which the Grizzled Young Veterans hit their finisher, but Moustache Mountain kicks out. Craziest spot of the year so far is Tyler Bate is on the shoulders of one of the Grizzled Young Veterans, in which they have him like in the electric chair position, but it's on the outside on the mats. Another teammate, he runs out through the ring in a suicide dive, and he basically does a doomsday device, but he does it like with a suicide dive. It was nuts. It looked nasty, and Trent Seven sold it like he was dead. Eli Drake and Zack Gibson, they get the win eventually. They finish off Trent Seven in the ring. It looked like there was going to be a tombstone. I'm not sure what their finisher is, but that looked like it was going to be a tombstone. But they hit their finisher. They get the win. Match was great. Fans were nuts. I guess it makes sense to have Moustache Mountain chase them, and they can have a long-term rivalry. I don't know when they're going to do another UK takeover, but rematch will be fantastic. Up next, you had the advertised match of James Devlin and Travis Banks. Before the show started, earlier in the day, they had Devlin attack Banks' knee. So it basically told you that this match probably won't happen if they're going to shoot an angle like that. And he attacks him again before the match starts, even though it was Banks who initiated it. He does a suicide dive, but then Devlin attacks the knee. The match is thrown out. Devlin saying there's no opponent. You need there's no opponent for this Irishman, which kind of give you a hint of who his opponent might be. And then there's a special surprise. Finn Balor makes a surprise appearance. Awesome surprise. Was not expecting that at all. Really cool. He didn't do the demon. But it was still really cool to see him. It was a really cool surprise because the fans know how big of a star Finn Balor is in the UK, so they gave him a lot of respect. They loved him. I can clearly see that Triple H is a lot in Jordan Devlin because there's no way they would give him that much offense against Finn Balor, who's supposed to be getting a big push. There's been a lot of rumors online that he might even win the Royal Rumble. That could be a surprise, but clearly Triple H sees a lot in Jordan Devlin to give him this much offense on Finn Balor. I was not a huge fan of this match. This was easily the weakest match of the night. I thought Balor sold too much here. I thought he should have kicked Devlin's ass, to be honest. But Balor gets the win. It's really appropriate he comes back to win in the first ever NXT UK TakeOver because the last time that NXT did a TakeOver in the UK was in London, in which Balor defended his NXT Championship against Samoa Joe in the main event. He even did a Jack the Ripper as his demon character that night. That was really cool. The match was still decent, just I don't know. I was not a big fan of how it was done. I thought Balor shouldn't have sold that much to Devlin. Next, we go to a no DQ match. You have Eddie Dennis against Dave Mastiff. So Eddie Dennis is the heel, but he's almost starting to turn babyface because he keeps lifting up Dave Mastiff and slamming him. And it looks really, really cool. There's steel steps that are used, and Dennis basically slams Mastiff on the steps. It looked brutal because it looks like Mastiff lands kind of in between the crease at the top of the steps, which probably hurts like shit. There's kendo sticks that are used, a lot of kendo sticks. I hate watching kendo sticks, man. Ever since with Charlotte gave Ronda Rousey that beating, I just cringe when I see kendo sticks now. They used a chair in this match as well. There was a really cool, almost like a razor edge spot in which Eddie Dennis slams Dave Mastiff. That looked like that could have been the finish. Eventually, the match ends with Mastiff giving Dennis a cannonball through a table that was set up in the corner. It was a cool, hardcore-style match, and Dave Mastiff with a nice win here. He's a beast. Up next was a match I was really looking forward to the most, the NXT UK Women's Championship. You had Rhea Ripley defending her championship against Toni Storm. And before the match started, I loved the video package. All I can think of is how big of a star Toni Storm should be when she comes onto the main roster. I'm blown away of how much potential this woman has. She could be the girl. And I don't mean as a cute blonde, which she is. I'm sure they'll make her get a boob job soon. But I think she can be their top female star. Not just because of her looks. Their top female star in a year. That's how good she is. She has everything. She's beautiful, which that's a huge factor with WWE, as we all know. She has charisma. She can talk. Her promos are decent. And she is a natural babyface. She's genuinely nice. She's a likable person. You can tell she's nice. Everyone who's ever met her, whenever she's met with fans, she's the biggest sweetheart, which I think so many people were mad when her videos got leaked because it's she's genuinely a good person. So it's kind of sad to see someone like that have to go through that. But Toni Storm has everything. She's the total package, except her accent. I'm sure Kevin Dunne will be thrilled with that, but she can be their top female star. The match kind of takes you on a journey with Toni Storm. It's she keeps coming so close, and she's so frustrated she can't put Rhea Ripley away, and Rhea Ripley's, stronger than her, and Rhea is just a beast. Her shoulders are huge, man. It's you would think if they fought in real, she could beat the living fuck out of Toni Storm in a real fight here. That's not a joke at all. Rhea Ripley's a tank. It's really crazy how much of a natural babyface Toni Storm is and how much of a natural heel Rhea Ripley is. Rhea Ripley is genuinely unlikable, even though I think she's such a good heel that the fans cheer her and the fans really appreciate her, and there was even some dueling chants. Toni was more over, but Rhea got some chants, and also it's probably because Toni's actually Australian. Rhea Ripley, actually she was born in New Zealand. Rhea Ripley was born in the UK, so she got some cheers. I'm sure they held that against her a little bit. There was a really nasty double headbutt spot in the middle of the match. There was some sloppiness, but I still really enjoyed it. When they did a double headbutt, so it looked really good. They each hit their finishers. There was two really good false finishers. I thought Rhea Ripley was going to win, even though I picked Toni Storm. I thought, you know what, Rhea's probably going to retain here. I think they want Toni to chase, but it didn't happen. You thought Toni Storm won the match if she hit her finisher the first time, but Rhea kicks out. And then finally, Toni Storm hits the Storm one for the second time. You knew it was over. 1, 2, 3. Wow. That was just amazing. I love Toni Storm. She is so emotional when she wins. I'm sure all the stuff that happened, she's letting it all pour out. It was great. And this was the feel-good moment of the night so far, and probably the best feel-good moment of the year. I don't want to say it's not because of what happened with the video of her and her nude photos being leaked online. That's not what it was. This is genuinely a really big female star in the making. Like, she has everything. She was really likable. I genuinely like watching her wrestle. It's been a while since I think they've had a female with this much likability towards her. When she gets the win, like, she is selling it, and they let her celebrate. They're letting, hey, Toni, you celebrate this win. You deserve it. She celebrates with the fans. She's crying. It's an amazing moment. It was a really cool feel-good moment that WWE never gives us on the main roster. NXT, you get this, and this is really what we like about wrestling. I don't understand why anyone could dislike Toni Storm. I can't praise her enough. I think she is going to be a star. I'm telling you, this match was great. I really enjoyed it. I really was happy to see her win. Rhea Ripley is really good too. I'm sure they can probably do a rematch still. And also, Toni Storm's only 23. Ripley's younger. She's 22. Really, really like this. Main event was next. You had Pete Dunne defending his NXT UK Championship against Joe Coffey. So this was basically a war. They beat the shit out of each other. But then not at the beginning. At first it was a little bit slow. And I was thinking to myself, we've had like a great women's match, a great tag team match, a hardcore match, Finn Balor making a surprise appearance. I think I was a little bit tired. And I think the fans were a bit tired. It's been 2 hours. About the first quarter of the match or so was a bit slow. And then it picked up. I think once Pete Dunne hits his finishing maneuver and then Coffey kicks out, the match just took off from then. Pete Dunne might be the best wrestler the WWE has. I'd put him ahead of Tyler Bate, even though I think Tyler Bate's great. I think I'd put him ahead of Tyler Bate, but I can't believe how good Pete Dunne is. He is out of this world great. He's special, man. And I know he's short. That's like, they'll never push him because of that, but my God, he's so young. He's incredible. It's insane who's training Pete Dunne? Who's training Tyler Bate? It's incredible how good these two are. It's insane. It's nuts. One of the best spots was Coffey hits Pete Dunne with just this brutal looking power bomb on the apron, which just looked brutal. Another cool spot was when Pete Dunne has Coffey in a triangle, but then Joe Coffey lifts him up in the triangle. And Pete Dunne is also doing the finger spot in which he like bends the finger, which just looks nasty. It's always painful to look at. I hate watching. I have to almost turn my head. It looks like it hurts like shit, even though it probably doesn't. It just looks like it hurts like a motherfucker. But when he's in a triangle, Coffey lifts him to the top rope, and he basically like slams him off the top rope, almost in a powerbomb position, which looked really cool. Fans are going nuts. They're training, "Are you not impressed?" which was great. I bought into Joe Coffey winning, which was great. There's a lot of false finish here. It's so hard to count all of them. There was 2 top rope falls. The first one was clearly a botch. The second one might have been a botch too, but the first one was a botch, and that's why they went back to it. Both of them were supposed to go off the top rope out to the outside, but the first time Pete Dunne lands in the ring. The second time, Coffey lands outside, but Pete Dunne lands into the barricade. It looked like it was another botch there. I don't think it went well, and they went to the finish after that, which was great. Pete Dunne hits the finisher. Coffey kicks out. And right when Joe Coffey kicked out, Coffey's winning. Pete Dunne hit his finisher 3 times. He's not going to hit it a 4th time, but then Pete Dunne immediately goes into the triangle and does the finger break as his submission. Joe Coffey eventually taps out quickly. Great match. It was incredible. You know how long this was? This went 34 minutes, and it was just insane. This almost reminded me of Gargano and Almas from last year in that classic title match. This was just a great match. It was an incredible show, really. Eventually, after the show ends, I'm almost ready to turn the show off. All right, it's over. Walter makes his debut. It was great. He's huge. I mean, this guy's he can get pushed big there. It's his size. It was cool of how he didn't touch Pete Dunne. They didn't have him lay out Pete Dunne. After he's staring down Pete Dunne, then Joe Coffey comes up on the apron, and Walter just hits him with a big boot. He stares him down again, and he leaves. Great way to end the show. Pete Dunne and Walter maybe at the next UK TakeOver. Who knows? This show was great. I think Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, and Toni Storm can all be big stars if they push them right. This was as good as almost any American NXT show you're going to get. It was an amazing show. I loved it. Loved watching it. great show. Can't say anything good about it. If the whole goal is to make you want to watch the UK NXT brand, I'm going to watch that because this show was excellent.